That's picking up 2,700 votes. That's him winning.
All right, we're going live here in a second.
Okay.
And you just keep talking and just bear with me on that one.
No, you're good. Just let me know when we go live because I'm just trying to update my election tracker stuff right now.
All right, looks like we are live.
Wait, can we do the Bill of We're live?
We are live.
We are live. All right.
We're doing it live.
We're live. So thank you for joining the live stream. It is primary night here in Dallas, Texas. As you well know, it is 9:35 p.m. So we are finding out election results along with you. We've been covering up to this point sort of where we are with early voting results. We are now starting to get a trickle of election night results from various counties, although nobody is fully reporting in the North Texas area as of yet. But we are starting to get more and more results. So we want to obviously update you with those. So we'll start, if we can, let's see if Dallas County has updated. Now, Dallas County has released the 9 p.m. early voting results for the Democrats. Supposed to have unofficial results of the Republican Party at 9 p.m. Still don't have those. So we'll continue to monitor Dallas County for when we have that. Collin County has started to report some of the election night votes as well, although as of now there's only 4 of the 86 voting centers reporting, so not a meaningful amount of information. Monitoring it statewide, let's start talking again. We've been covering this, the Senate race. The Senate race is tightening as we start to get some, total votes, some election night results, where it's tightened now with John Cornyn at 43.39%, Paxton at 39.76%. Popular logic is your more conservative people vote on election night. Let's see if that actually holds true. But with 70% of the counties reporting, but only 19% of the polling locations reporting, Cornyn, Paxton still seem like they're set for a runoff. A very interesting race down in, we talked about a little bit earlier, but just to hit on it again, you've got the race down with Steve Toth and with Dan Crenshaw down in Harris County.
Big upset there.
Right now it is looking, this is all early voting results. This is no election night results, but early voting results have Steve Toth at 57.56, Dan Crenshaw 39.19. So, unless Dan, and that's, you're looking at about about 7,500 vote difference. Dan Crenshaw has a lot to make up just to get to a runoff right now.
That is a crazy upset, and to think he got so much trash talked about him for insider trading, and now he's not even going to be able to inside trade anymore. He should have taken more advantage of that while he was there.
Hey man, I think you're thinking about it all wrong. He's got
he's going to get a good spot. Here was the thing, he showed up on the scene, and I still actually like him, and when he showed up, he was people are looking at him like, okay, he's like the next big thing in the Republican Party. And just for some reason, he kept catching this track of essentially influencers just wanting to dunk on him.
Mm-hmm.
And really, he was saying some of the right things, just people just didn't like the way he said it. And then whenever anyone said anything negative about him, he would threaten to kill them. And it's get him on hot mic, and it's that didn't go over too hot. So I don't know, it's just a really interesting upset. Especially when we live up here, we're not really in that race, so you kind of seeing it from a 10,000 foot view.
Here's the thing about Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw's first thing that had people turning on him was the red flag laws.
Yes.
Him being not super in support of them, but friendly towards red flag laws. That really, really hurt him. That was the first hit that he took, and then beyond that, once the, look, once the outrage media gets after you and they don't like you, they're going to find something about everything.
Yes.
Then he became a globalist. Then he became all of these things that your far right commentariat online likes to talk about.
Right.
And he could never recover with them. And he just slowly started to chip away. And look, Steve Toth has been an elected official before. There's a lot that are on the conservative right of the party. They love Steve Toth, right? I mean, he's somebody that was very popular with them. So, you know, is it a surprise to see a national figure lose a race like that? Yeah. But at the same time, is it, you know, totally unheard of? Not really. So just looking at some of these other counties, you know, we've got starting to get a trickle of election night stuff coming in from Tarrant County. We haven't really talked about the Tarrant County races. There's a few of them that are sort of notable. We're talking about the first one. Once we get down to it, we've got the race for Senate District 22. That's an open seat. David Cook, you know, sort of the center of the maelstrom on all of the censure talk at the beginning of the cycle, running away with that in early voting, 81.46%. John Gimble was a hey, this guy's hot, he's making moves. Doesn't look like that actually materialized, obviously. You know, we don't really have any election night results coming in there yet, but fairly, you know, David Cook in the bag. He's going to be the Republican candidate for 22. Hard to imagine him losing in the general. So moving up from House to State Senate. You know, as expected, David Lowe, former guest of the show, 64.39%. He's going to hold on to District 91 over Kyle Morris.
This is a funny one. Loving County, a rural county, strangest county in Texas. Vigil Burschwale got 9 votes, which is 56% of all the votes. Cornyn got 7. Ken Paxton got 0. Just a really small county. And they were all like, no, we don't like John Cornyn or Ken Paxton. I love that.
Well, a few more races. District 93, it looks like Alan Blaylock, 88.1% of the vote. Looks like he's going to hold on to that. District 94, this is a race that we talked about. Another open seat. Cheryl Bean left the seat that she lost in, moved into this district. Seems to have worked out so far. She's at 57.99% of the vote. Jackie Schlegel, who was commonly considered to be her chief rival, at 23.26. Not impossible that gets pushed to a runoff, but it seems likely that Cheryl Bean would win in the runoff given the results right now. District 98, Armin Mizani, Mayor Armin Mizani as he likes to call himself, in the lead right now with 54.36%. Fred Tate, endorsed by Governor Abbott, 42.4%. That's a race that it's a couple thousand votes, 2,200 votes. Possible that you could see movement for that going into a runoff, but certainly not what Fred Tate had hoped, especially, like I said, with the Abbott endorsement. But, you know, Armin Mizani ran a, sort of an aggressive campaign that seems to have paid off for him there in Tarrant County. Mm-hmm. Going up to Denton County, not a lot of surprises up there. Brandon Gill, Ronnie Jackson, Pat Fallon, easily. I mean, their districts are multi-county, but at least in Denton County, winning there easily. Denton County, a big Doc Chambers County. Well, he's up to 12%.
Yeah.
Abbott only at 81% in Denton County, so,
So as the votes roll in for the night, hold on to your seats.
Right. Mays Middleton doing well in Denton County, 42% up there with Tip Roy in second place.
Let's see.
Nate Sheets, strong performance in Denton County over Sid Miller.
I mean, that is a big one. I mean, it's at 65% to 35%. That's a huge one.
Another race up there, and actually, a big race to watch is the District 106 race. So that is Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson is another one that the far right had their talons for, and he is holding on right now, 55.53%. Larry Brock, the J6er, in second place at 32.14%. I wonder, take a look at some of those district offices.
I'm really interested to see how the losers on both parties, but I'm really interested in how the losers on the Democratic side take this. Here's a prediction for the future. They whine, they moan for about a week, and then they are offered a very cushy job somewhere, and then you don't hear from them for another, let's say, 2.5 years until campaign season comes for an open seat that they've magically moved to that district in.
Yes, the magical movers.
Yes, and I like people that have recently moved. By the way, they got some woes, right? Because they gave up their below 4% interest rate. Okay, they are dedicated to winning these races. When you give up at under 4%, that's crazy. But I guess it's all worth it.
Another hotly contested race, or one that potentially District 64. Andy Hopper, Lisa McIntyre, we talked about that race right now. Andy Hopper comfortably in the lead in Denton County. Let's take a look at what happens when you throw the Wise County numbers in there. I would imagine he will still comfortably hold a lead in early voting. Yeah, it actually, well, yes, with early voting results in both counties, Andy Hopper in a strong position there. Wow, just really, I mean, Wise County real strong for him. I mean, he was up in Denton County, but Wise County that's almost a 3-to-1 margin. So it looks like Hopper will hold on to his seat there. Let's see if we have an update in Collin County. Nope, still just those 4 pesky voting locations in.
They got wrapped up and went home right away. I know the feeling. You've been there all day just staring at someone that you disagree with deeply.
Right.
Because it's always, the most involved people that are like, yeah, I want to be an election judge, But it is kind of a learning experience. It's like you got to eat lunch with these people, and then you got to talk to them. And the Democrats always have volunteers, and they're always high schoolers because they're indoctrinating the young. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get in a verbal argument with a high schooler.
Well, as we're continuing to look at some of these races, I mean, a lot of them, early voting, Secretary of State's website, more and more of these big counties coming in and reporting. Let's see. So like Texas Attorney General, statewide as we're looking at it now, Mays Middleton still comfortably in first place. Mm-hmm. Chip Roy comfortably in second place. And, that's with Bexar County coming in, which, you would expect, Chip Roy being a San Antonio guy, that being a strong place for him. That's still actually, he's trailing slightly in that county. So it looks like, unless there's a big surge for people on election night, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see Mays Middleton and Chip Roy in that runoff election for the AG's office. It's like, as we sit here think about it, I don't know if it's going to hold, but I remember in the debate that we had up here in Collin County for the Attorney General, there was a bit of back and forth between Aaron Reitz and Mays Middleton. And Mays Middleton's comment when he was attacked by Aaron Reitz, I gave him the opportunity in moderating the debate to respond to him, and he just said, "I don't answer to fourth place."
He had some insight on the standings.
It looks like he's got some there now. Lubbock County still not reporting. That's I don't think that's going to shift anything, but that's almost a 200,000 voter county.
Like in general, what do you take of this? If like, Chip Roy's not. I mean, there was kind of essentially, if you want to do a 10,000-foot view, there was like kind of the establishment-esque going down the headliners, right? And then there was kind of the MAGA, no, not MAGA, but a little bit more far right, or they wanted more being done. They felt like enough wasn't being done. And then you look at these different races, and it's like some of those, it's such a mixed bag. I mean, what do you make of all this? I mean, I feel like I don't know really where to go with this. I mean, what is your take on it?
Well, on the AG's race specifically, it's if things hold and Mays Middleton comes out ahead, that's a disaster for Chip Roy. Mm-hmm. Like Chip Roy had the absolute name recognition statewide. You would expect him to be very strong.
Yeah.
Now Mays Middleton has been a rising star in the Republican Party, and I'll tell you look, Mays Middleton wins AG. You just pencil it in. In the future, Mays Middleton's running for lieutenant governor. He's running for governor.
Yeah.
Like the AG's position, the AG spot in Texas. I mean, you've had people move through that AG position that went on to be, senators. They went on to be governor. Ken Paxton's used that position to launch his run for the Senate. I think if Mays Middleton is able to, first of all, if Mays Middleton is able to overcome Chip Roy's name recognition statewide, mm-hmm. kudos to Mays Middleton's campaign team. Great job. To be able to get him out there statewide, to make an impact, to make an influence, how he spent money, what he was doing to market, great job of doing all of that because, that they spent their money to get his name out for people to know, to positively associate with him.
Right. Yeah.
You've got to be. I mean, if you're
Roy, yeah.
Right.
Name recognition for sure. Because I forget exactly what he was doing, but he was kind of the hot spot for a couple of months there in the House of Representatives. Chevy guy. Right, there was a lot of really fun things going on about him on social media as well. So that is a very interesting thing going on. I think Chip Roy's kind of just looking back on this, but Chip Roy's issue is that I think he put out some policies and statements that just came off very sounded like steel wool on the ears. Yeah, I mean they just were not delivered well. It's like okay, yeah, actually I like the idea behind that, but man, you gotta work that out. That press release was not good.
I mean, look, I think this is so. Right now, my biggest takeaway is that it looks like these slate cards that have been going around statewide have been very effective. Because a lot of the candidates that were, the ones at least that I saw pushed in Collin County, a lot of these candidates that are listed on there are looking real strong right now. Mm-hmm. The exception to that being John Cornyn, right? I mean, a lot of these things that I saw pushed had Ken Paxton, except for the link letter. The link letter I saw had Cornyn endorsed over Paxton. So or maybe he did make an endorsement in that race. I can't remember, but those slate cards seem like they've been having a big impact, and that's something to investigate because there was a lot of out-of-state money coming in to fund a lot of these very temporary PACs, things that have been set up over the last few months, funded from these, these out-of-state PACs.
Like shell LLCs.
I mean, that's exactly. Well, that's how it kind of has been functioning. It's we had some PACs set up in Virginia or some PACs set up in Ohio that now all of a sudden are funding PACs here in Texas that are sending out all of these are publishing and putting out all of these sort of slates for candidates.
Now, these mailers or these door hangers?
I mean, I've seen a lot of them I don't know how much I've seen them. I haven't seen them used as door hangers. Yeah. But that may just be where I live. They're being handed out at the polls. Mm. They're being distributed online. I've seen them in emails. I've seen all that sort of stuff. So that for me is a sort of a, raising the antenna. If at the end of the day we start looking at a lot of these out-of-state money packs funding these slate cards, and these slate cards really having an impact on the elections, that's tough.
That is tough. I mean, I'm not so much. I mean, I know a lot of people are really worried about. I'm not so much worried about out-of-state money. It's just that, I mean, that just means you have to grow your network, right? You have to, I don't necessarily want all decisions coming from Washington, D.C., but at the same time, it's like, hey, if you want to get rid of PACs and Citizens United and all that, okay, that's fine. It's a different conversation, but I know for one, when I was door knocking, I forget exactly who it was, but they made this amazing door hanger on who to vote for in the general election, and it was just like so clear cut. The coloring was great, and it was so easy for people just to hang on the door. I think that makes a huge, like, handing it out at the polls. Like I said earlier, I talk to people that know that I like to talk about politics, but they don't go past the first 3 to 5 spots. You give them something that they can take into the polls, because you can't bring your phone in there, you can't pull your phone out.
Right.
That will make a huge difference for candidates down the slate, and all we've been hearing is how important, like, school board is, and all these other local spots that can have a real impact on your life. So those are like dollars well spent on people, whoever is doing this investment, and that's essentially what it is.
Well, still looking at updates here. Secretary of State's lag a little bit on the Democrat side. I'm seeing reporting that Tallarico is up by a decent margin.
Yeah.
In the Senate, but I haven't seen those numbers exactly. I will say, small side note, not a North Texas thing, but it looks like former Texas Ranger Mark Teixeira is going to win the Republican nomination and will almost assuredly be heading to Congress. He's running in a fairly safe Republican seat, so we may have former Ranger notable Mark Teixeira. And I will say...
That's awesome, man.
Mark Teixeira, well, I many years ago, I had a small radio show doing sports talk. And I remember when I first talked about him, I butchered his last name. I think I called him like Texiera. And the guy that I was doing the show with looked at me like, what's wrong with you?
That's how I read it.
Right. Well, that is how phonetically it's read, but it is Mark Teixeira.
That's, that's kind of cool. Little Texas Ranger action. I think that's what the biggest push of this whole primary has been this year was like, we had such a big run up in 2024, and then a lot of the base feels like it's not enough, or it hasn't been enough. I think that they're probably just pushing a little too hard, or their expectations were just like way too high, and mine were too high too. But I've just come to reality. It's like, dude, you can't do all these things super fast. But that has been the biggest thing of the candidates and how they've been trying to position themselves.
Yeah,
it's like that candidate that I'm running against is not doing enough, and it's like, if you're not in office, super great spot to be.
Right.
Incredibly, because you are comparing that candidate you're running against perfect, and you have nothing to no one can criticize you on things you haven't done because you haven't had the opportunity to be there. I guess that's the story old as time, but I feel like it's been very prevalent in this cycle.
So I will just have to say, I'm looking at a couple of different sort of political prognosticators that are your professional political number readers. One being Dave Wasserman with Cook Political. He's calling it for Steve Toth in Texas 02 against Dan Crenshaw. He's also, I think fair to say Cornyn and Paxton go to a GOP runoff. For me, continuing to follow that Senate race, the question is going to be, what is the margin, right? At the end of the night, does John Cornyn have the lead exiting the primary? If he does, that is, I would say, a surprise to the system, where I think most people expected Paxton to be in the lead. And then the question there is like, okay, well, how much more of this can the Paxton campaign take, right? Like, because Cornyn is going to have probably another big spending advantage going into the runoff, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean Cornyn's got a war
You
chest.
said Cornyn has the advantage of the space.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I
Yes,
agree
yes,
with that.
yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Um,
Yeah, that's true. I think so. What I've been hearing is that like that Cornyn, there could be a thing where it just depends on how close Paxton gets. If Paxton gets like to 45% or something, all of a sudden the money is going to get a little bit harder for Cornyn in the runoff, because kind of what you were saying before is like this is kind of the general primary,
right.
but then you'll have the runoff primary, in which I kind of agree if like the diehards are really going to show up, the turnout is going to be much lower in the runoff primary, where it's like, okay, the money is not going to go as far, it's not going to have as big of an impact. So it's interesting. So I mean, I guess Cornyn obviously would love to just get 50.1 and just walk away. Or sorry, either of them would get 50.1 and walk away. But do you think Paxton was just trying to get as close as he possibly could? I mean, was that possibly the strategy of like just get 45% or something and push this to a runoff?
I mean, are you talking Paxton and Cornyn?
Yeah, Paxton,
Yeah,
Cornyn. I mean, obviously both of them are just trying to walk away with it completely. But I mean, there is a point where it's like, okay, if I can get this, if I can position this to a runoff, then I have kind of like that home field advantage where it's like my people are diehard and yours are maybe not.
Yeah, I mean that is the general rule of thumb. You're more impassioned, you're more enthusiastic voters are going to show up again. A lot of times, if incumbents can't get to 50% the first time through, you expect a lot of, not to be pejorative, but like lower information voters, people that aren't actively like passionately involved with politics, but will show up and vote. Often vote for the names that they recognize. Yeah. Incumbents usually benefit there. Those folks don't often show up. But and this is also the thing is like the spending that Cornyn will continue to be able to throw at this race through May, and the political machine that he has statewide, that may be enough to keep him. Because again, like thinking back to the big counties, I mean, Cornyn's doing very well in the big counties.
Yes.
There's none of these big counties where Paxton is running up a big margin. Again, I'm still.
We're still getting the information. I mean, we're just talking about it as the information comes in and spitballing. I mean, not that. McConnell. I mean, how much money do you think that the Senate, Republican Senate Committee wants to spend on a special primary runoff in Texas to keep Paxton, to keep Paxton out, or maybe keep Cornyn? There's different ways to say that. But I mean, do they want to spend another $100 million? They just spent roughly whatever number you want to look at. I've seen $100 million. I've seen $80 million just to get to a runoff. I mean, do we want to spend as a Republican Party another $100 million on a special runoff? Do you think that's going to happen?
$100 million's a lot. I don't know. I mean, John. Look, this is almost assuredly going to be the last time that John Cornyn runs for office.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. I mean, he doesn't want to go out on a loss. You want to retire. John Cornyn's this close to being the majority leader.
He was,
right. I mean, and you would think that he would have a shot at that in the future if he stays in the Senate. He's going to use every tool at his disposal between now and May, because really, if Cornyn's at the top of the ticket, generally you would expect him to have an easier go of it in November. Mm-hmm. He's not as polarizing as a candidate like Paxton is, so you would expect to have him have a better go of it for November. With Tallarico, it looks like right now Tallarico is right on that 50% threshold.
Yeah. That
he could hold on to without going into a runoff against Jasmine. We'll see. If it's Tallarico and it's Cornyn, the Dems will throw a ton of money at it in November, but you'd like Cornyn's chances. If it's Paxton, that's a bigger risk, right? I mean, it's a bigger risk because he is a more polarizing candidate. There's not going to be as many independents that are going to have an appetite for voting for him,
Yeah.
as they would respectively for Cornyn. So who knows? Like I said, I would expect for Cornyn to look at winning in May maybe to be a bigger hurdle than winning in November, and Cornyn the same.
Right. Yeah, it's a give. Yeah, it's a give and take there. That is something I've had a conversation with about. It's like, okay, who do you agree with more? That's one thing, but then also the lineup.
Right.
It's always about, okay, the lineup. Like you know, you could be super whatever about something, but it's like, okay, but who are they going to be going up against? And then you think about these two candidates up on stage, and one person's saying this, and then you got the background of this person, and like they're clashing. It's like, okay. You know, that's why I had, like most of my Republican friends, I said, go vote in the Democratic primary. I said, go vote for Jasmine Crockett. Get her up there on the stage. Okay? We got to take this thing. Okay?
Yeah. Well, another update in Collin County. We now have 18 of 86 voting centers reporting.
Boom.
Most of the races, you know, we talked about earlier, you know, Jeff Leach adding to his lead. George Flint adding to, he's at 59%. So I mean, he's adding to his lead. It looks like that doesn't look like that's going to a runoff. Candy Noble, man, I tell you, election night, that is a pretty even split. So she's so far election day, she has 612 votes that she's picked up today. That's been in these 18 polling locations, and there have been 609 for her two opponents. So very even split on election day in that race, but she's not ceding ground. And then the other race that we looked at earlier, the Woody Huffines and Shelby Williams race, that one's tightening. So far, Woody is outperforming Shelby 395 to 294. So, you know, Woody's picked up 101 votes. Needs to keep on that path. I mean, it's basically a 700 vote margin right now.
Yeah.
So if Woody continues to trend in that direction, we'll see how many more votes come in on election night. But that race looks like it could go late into the night. I don't know. Depending on that might be a recount situation.
Quick update. Valentina Gomez says that she has video evidence that her election is being rigged to ban an 84-year-old Congressman John Carter. If she releases this, it will shatter everything. Where is she at right now? I think she's like in 5th place or something.
She was in 3rd place.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing with people like her. Of course, that's what she's going to say.
Yeah. I mean, I loved her ads. I thought her ads were just amazing. But actually, I am surprised she's not doing better than she was, just because of how good her ads were and her Instagram. But again, it's kind of like, you know, X, Instagram, Facebook aren't real.
Right.
It does move the needle to a certain percent, but it's like, just because you get likes and retweets doesn't necessarily mean that you're being effective. So, Jasmine Crockett is accusing Republicans of, rigging the election in areas with high black populations, and especially in Dallas. I just want to say for the record, if you go to Dallas County elections, go in there. It is ran by Democrats. Essentially, the entire staff is all black women. I highly doubt a lot of them are voting for Trump or MAGA. So I think the claim is just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and this is also this is the stuff that it's just dumb. Okay, so let's just take a step back here. Number one, yes, Dallas County elections are run by Democrats.
Yeah.
Because your election committee is made up of either the commissioner's court or their appointees, plus the party chairs. Well, in Dallas County, everyone on the commissioner's court is a Democrat. You got 4 commissioners and the county judge, all Democrats. You've got Democrats running things on that front.
Sure.
then you talk about, well, how would the Republicans possibly do that? How would they rig the elections in Democrat areas? Well, if you go vote, you're going to have a Republican, you're going to have Democrat. Whose polling location are you voting at? I believe that in this election, both parties have election judges. It's not
They do.
because it's not a joint election. So at every location, you will have a Republican election judge and a Democrat election judge. So what would have to happen, according to Jasmine Crockett, is in these mostly black areas of town, you would have to have people that intended to vote for her that didn't, instead of going to the Democrat polling area with the sign that says Democrat, they went to the Republican area.
Right.
Or even if they went, if some of the voting locations had the same clerks with two different election judges, these people would show up to the clerks and then say, oh, I want to vote for a Democrat, and then some Republican there is going to send them someplace else without the Democrats that are also staffing it, being like, no.
Right.
I mean, it's absurd. It's silly.
Absolutely.
But it's attention grabbing, and that's what she does, and that's what Valentina does, and that's the problem that we have right now in American politics. One of the issues, in my opinion, is that you have all of these attention grabbers and influencers that have an outsized influence on what actually happens instead of people that know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and I mean that's been obvious with Crockett for a very long time. You know, she got in there. Well, and you know what? So this is, we're at 48. Crockett's got 48%. Tallarico's got 49%. It's really not that far as far as I can see here, and it looks like a lot of counties are rolling in at this point.
A lot of counties rolling in. Dallas is still not rolling in.
Okay, that's going to be a big one.
That's a big one.
Obviously she was banking on
Harris County has rolled in.
Okay, and that's in favor of her. Obviously she's banking on black vote, Hispanic vote, and Tallarico is essentially almost banking on just kind of woke white liberal vote, and so he has a much broader base and area to pull from.
Right.
And he's a little bit, I guess, in the sense of a little bit more moderate. I mean, really, actually a lot more moderate. I mean, if you want to compare,
to be perfectly honest, it's hard to say, right? I mean, that's sort of the issue right now. Is I don't know what. Yes, I assume that Jasmine Crockett is a far left liberal,
right? But
at least she plays one,
right?
I don't know if she actually believes that, because I don't even know what her natural speaking voice is. And the same thing.
She's a well-spoken individual. Before she became she's a lawyer,
right? Well, that doesn't say a lot, but I mean, when you look at Tallarico, right? I mean, Tallarico is doing this very weird, blasphemous thing where he tries to twist the Bible,
right?
Like this sort of progressive, oh, Jesus actually would have favored abortions, sort of thing.
Well, the inception of Jesus and Mary, according to him, is that is proof that Jesus backs abortion,
right?
And I think that's going to play incredibly well with religious Texas voters. They're gonna flock to the poll for him. But
I mean, I get the joke, but I don't know if that's. I think there's a lot of Christians out there that are that call themselves Christian that necessarily are not. As educated in their faith as they want to be, and there's a lot of liberal Christians, and they would love to hear this message. They want to hear somebody like Tallarico say, you can be a liberal, you can be a progressive, and it's still fine with your Christianity. You know what? Abortion, Jesus would have been okay with abortion.
Well, and it was a joke, but you are right. I mean, a lot of people are out here voting primary for that tonight. I mean, and you kind of see the church gatherings with ICE and things like that. I mean, it is people still fundamentally want a union. They want a church. They want the community, but they want the message to vary and essentially just say, hey, everything that you want is okay, and you really can just kind of move the guidelines. But no, you 100% are right, and it is a joke, but it is going to be an issue of people just being like, well. And if you look at individual polling, it's funny not to go down a rabbit hole, but it's if you look at individual polling on how people, sway as far as like abortion in the religious communities, and they break it up by sect and everything, there's actually a like pretty high percentage of people that are like, well, yes, like if push comes to shove, like let's not restrict it at any level.
Yeah.
It actually is very prevalent. So like Talrico has tapped into something there. I'm just interested at how far that really goes. I mean, if he picks up and has a good campaign, it's just going to be very interesting there, because I think at that point it's like, I don't know, the fundamental of what America has been founded on, I think, is essentially has been replaced.
Yes.
Has been fundamentally changed, and that has been the Democratic basis since the 1960s of like how we're going to ultimately take all power and then just push everything that we want.
Well, some updates as we're following this here, following it live. So, statewide Senate race narrowing. So, Cornyn is now down to 43%. Paxton is now over 40% at 40.2.
4 or 5% jump.
Right. So you're seeing that one tighten again. More and more counties come in. Election night stuff comes in. I wouldn't be surprised if Paxton actually overtakes Cornyn. But either way, I don't think anyone's getting to 50%.
Yeah.
We're going to a runoff. Let's see what happens there.
Hunt hasn't moved. He moved 0.5% or something. So
yeah, Hunt's still down at 13.12%. He's playing spoiler. Like he's got no chance to get into the race. A couple other races, of note that are also, we got a little moves going on. In the Attorney General race, Chip Roy's now over 30%. Mays Middleton 41%. Joan and Aaron still at roughly 14%. Joan is actually catching up with him a little bit there. But that's still third place, well behind Chip and Mays. So again, it looks like Chip and Mays are set to go into a runoff. Don Huffines still holding on, 58% statewide. Again, unless there's some sort of huge surge for Hancock or Craddock in certain parts of the state. And I mean, right now, Hancock has a 100,000 vote lead over Craddock for second place, but unless there's a big election day surge, I don't know how they get past Don Huffines at 58%. Nate Sheets said Miller, that race is narrowing. Nate Sheets now 53.38% statewide to Sid Miller's 46.62.
Okay.
Texas Railroad Commission also narrowing. Jim Wright now up to 31.7 with Beau French at 33.51. Again, some of this is just jockeying for position for who can say they got the most votes in the first round, but that one's certainly going into a runoff. It seems very likely between those two gentlemen. So let's see if we have any more updates in some of our local parties.
Yeah, the internet tonight is just filled with like people making, it's official, this is that, and I'm like, no, that's not true at all. I mean, there's most of these large counties aren't even remotely done putting in their votes.
Right. Well, right now we're looking at the Secretary of State's numbers for District 32, and that race is getting close. Still don't have numbers in from Rains County, but we've got early votes from many of the counties. We're starting to get some, like for example, Camp County. Their results there are complete. Rockwall County looks like they've got 28 out of 28. Looks like their results are complete.
Nice.
Right now, J.C. Yarborough is sitting, according to Secretary of State's website, right at 50%. So, small chance. I mean, I would say small chance. Chance that could still go into a runoff. but
Yeah.
it would be with Jason a commanding lead over, Ryan Binkley in second place,
At 20, what was it, 21%?
21.54.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I'm just sitting in a chair, quarterbacking this thing. But it's like at that point, I mean, do you really try to push a runoff? It's like we spend so much money and time and energy, and then all the infighting. I think that's the worst part about primary season that I hate is just all the infighting and the bickering, and like people that are trying to be active in politics because they show up because their heart is in the right spot, and then they get involved in all this stuff and he said, she said, and like it just happens, right? The long primaries are the worst, not just for like local county party issues, but just, I mean, you burn tons of money, your effort, your volunteers, on and on and on. I mean, just a clean cut. Hey, this is, we got our primary. I get it, a special election, special primary needs to happen sometimes, but I mean, yeah, again, I think we got to implement something like, hey, if you're down by 20 points to the next person, I think that's a little, I feel like it's almost disrespectful. It's kind of like if you're playing blackjack, like there is a reason they got a $500 table and a $1,000 table. It's like, dude, you can't sit here. You're screwing up this rotation here.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my take. That's my uneducated take.
I don't think that's uneducated. I definitely get. I mean, your point is well taken, right? If you are unlikely to prevail in the runoff, let's not waste people's time and money on the runoff.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you never know what's going to happen.
Never know what's going to
You
happen.
never know what's going to happen. Some scandal could break, some whatever could break.
We've seen it in Collin County.
You could go viral, right?
Mm.
You could become right. Like who would have thought, when Van Taylor and Keith Self were going into a runoff, that you were going to have what happened to Van Taylor. And so that stuff does happen. I want to talk about a county that we have full election results on, and that's Rockwall County. All precincts reporting. It looks like we've got final results. Statewide races, district races, we won't necessarily look at that, but county judge, it looks like incumbent Frank New holding on to his seat, 57.66% of the vote. So he will remain as your county judge. Another commissioner's seat that was hotly contested, avoiding a runoff. Incumbent John Stacy will remain as your county commissioner in Precinct 4, receiving 61.26% of the vote. So that is Dana Michalik, incumbent in Precinct 2, ran unopposed. So no movement on the Rockwall Commissioners Court. They're all staying there. Now Rockwall right now, I can't talk about it much because I'm involved in a lawsuit out there, but there is a lot of development dispute and new developments coming in that I understand in Rockwall County was a big part of the election. Mm-hmm. Frank New holding on to his seat, John Stacy holding on to his seat, despite the active polling and the active elections going out there. You're not going to see any change on their commissioners court. Moving down to Ellis County, so they've got 80% of voting centers reporting, so we can kind of take a look at some of the results down there, which I think are interesting statewide. So that's one where, Ken Paxton in Ellis County, 41.19% to John Cornyn's 39.3%. I would have expected Paxton to do better in a county like Ellis County, like a rural Texas county, but very, very close there. Mays, Middleton, Chip Roy, kind of where they are statewide, 40%, 30%. With almost all reporting in Ellis County. Don Huffines commanding lead there. Nate Sheets, Sid Miller, very, very close, but Nate Sheets, by less than 400 votes, had more votes in Ellis County. Of course, that isn't outcome determinative, but just sort of interesting with where these votes are going statewide when you see people that have it closed.
Right.
David Cook, 72% of the vote. Hotly contested District 10, where there were two primary challengers to Brian Harrison. That one, Brian Harrison, at least in Rockwall right now, 53.54%. I can't remember what other counties district might be in District 10. Yeah. Looks like similar results. Maybe that's the only county in that race. Yeah, Ellis County is the only county. So it looks like Brian Harrison is going to hold on to his seat there. That's 53%. He really got a run for his money from his primary challengers there. County judge race in Ellis County looks like it's going to a runoff. Lane Grayson right now, 42.26% of the vote. Cameron Rayburn at 34.39. Looks like that's probably going to hold.
Yeah, with so much of the vote in, it'd have to be a Joe Biden miracle.
Yeah, you have to have the check mark. Same thing, Commissioner's Court Precinct 2 looks like that's going into a runoff with no candidate reaching 50%. John Paul Deneen, probably at 28.24, will likely be in the runoff with Matthew Zajic. And I probably messed up that name, but I did my best.
You said it with confidence. I actually said, man, that's good. It's good that you said it, Zajic.
I tried.
Yeah. Wonder if Collin County is caught up at all.
Yeah, let's see what we have in Collin County.
That's kind of the interesting sway. It seems like Allred is not going to make it. Either down there or over there rather. Yeah. So most of these counties
Looks like Collin County still hasn't updated since last time I looked at it. It's still 18 voting centers of the 86 showing.
Yeah. So these the counties are allowed to count early voting and release early voting. They're allowed to count the early vote the day of.
Yes. So early voting results. The general rule with that is they cannot be released before the close of the polls or the close of the election day polls.
Okay.
They can be usually during that. Often the early voting or the early votes are tabulated on election day earlier that day. Although in Dallas County in the past, I believe there has been some tabulation that happened before that, or at least that's what was alleged. But generally, yes, your early votes are counted on election day. They cannot release those numbers, though, until the polling closes.
Yeah.
So that's where you usually see, between 7 and 8 o'clock, counties will start releasing their early voting results. Statewide, just kind of looking at it for another update, Paxton is barely below 40% again statewide with whatever's being updated.
Yeah.
But I don't think things are going to move much from there.
Yeah, it's just gonna get tired. I mean, yeah, that's definitely gonna go to a runoff. You know what? I mean, at the end of all this, I just hope we can all just get along. I just hope we all just get along. We're one team, one fight, regardless of who. I get it. Some people, if you really don't want to vote for them, but man, don't poison the water hole on your way out. If and that's not just for the candidates, but I mean a lot of the vitriol and the negative comments and all the rumors and stuff. I mean that happens on just individual levels,
right?
In the Facebook groups and all the things. It's like, hey, look, your person didn't win, but we still kind of trying to move the ball forward. And it's like, okay, let's say your candidate didn't win. That doesn't mean that you can't still apply pressure to whatever you want your one thing to be. It doesn't mean you still can't push for those through those candidates. I mean, there's plenty of people that, for instance, just going national. Trump was this big America First. I mean, think about how America First was pushed so hard, right? But really, Trump has moderated for all the people that were not America First, that just kind of run-of-the-mill Republicans. Mm-hmm. They really have come out not so. I mean, a lot of his policies have kind of been a little bit more moderate than what a lot of people thought, right?
Right.
And so that is still achievable through all of these candidates because all these candidates have to work with other people, right? And that's what I'm most concerned about. I see all the things about the primary, it's primary season, but man, once this is over, we have got to turn it off and get to work together.
All right, we have an update in Collin County, up to 29 voting centers reporting.
Gosh, the work is so hard.
I mean, I appreciate. Look, Dallas County still hasn't released anything for election day, right? I mean, it's that stuff still hasn't been released, still hasn't been reported.
Oh boy.
So, even with stuff coming in now, so here's the thing to look at. Kind of what we talked about earlier. So Cornyn had more of a lead in early voting, but as we're starting to look at election day reporting, Ken Paxton closing the gap in Collin County. That kind of goes to the idea that maybe some of your more conservative people have waited until, election day to cast their votes.
Right.
Looking at some of the other races on it, Don Huffines still doing very well there. Nate Sheets still doing very well in Collin County. Beau French still doing very well in Collin County, not to 50% there. And then as we start to look at some of the other down ballot races, Carissa Richardson extending her lead on election day. Jeff Leach extending his lead on election day. George Flint still comfortably avoiding a runoff with election day results. Candy Noble still at 52%. It looks like she is adding to her lead there. Looking at some of the other Dan ballot candidates. We didn't mention this before, but there is a race for county judge in Collin County. Chris Hill comfortably 79.16%. Seems like he is very safe for re-election there. No surprise. Let's see how our commissioner's race is there. Yeah, that commissioner's race continues to tighten. So right now, election day, Woody Huffines 726, Shelby Williams 574. So, Woody Huffines continues to chop into that lead. It's now less than a 600 vote difference between the two candidates. It's slightly more than 600 votes between the two candidates.
Yeah.
So that's, again, and that's I'm not sure which of the voting centers in Collin County have reported, but that's again, less than half have reported. That's a race that will continue to tighten.
Mm-hmm. And you could the rule is less than one vote in between knife fight, right? or some kind of singing contest, which Shelby will walk away with.
Well, yeah, for all of the candidates, if it does come down to a singing competition, the musical theater guy probably has somewhat of an advantage. But I don't know. Woody Huffines could knock out some sort of Western ballad.
Oh yeah,
that would be amazing. But
capture some attention. So, update on the Democrat side right now with 88% of the counties reporting for the Democrat side, 33% of polling locations. Tallarico has hit over 50% against Jasmine Crockett. Let's take a look at which counties in that race have reported. Bexar County has reported, but it looks like they've only reported early voting results. We don't have election day results from there. But the thing is, between the two of them, I don't know how much of a pop you would expect Jasmine Crockett to get. Dallas County is finally reporting there, so I guess Dallas County has been. Well, no, Dallas County now reporting.
Denton County, and then of course Harris County has reported. I mean, those were kind of her strong, like Tarrant County, Dallas County, Harris County, East Texas.
I will have
Tyler.
to say it does look like in Jeff Davis, which is now fully reporting, James Tallarico 107 to Jasmine Crockett's 58.
That's the one. That's the one that's going to swing this whole thing. Yeah, man, if they could, man, I would have loved to see that go to a runoff. You know?
I mean, we're not done yet. Again, a
Yeah.
lot of these counties, like Dallas County, still hasn't announced any election night voting. Most of these are only reporting, or the larger counties are only reporting your early voting stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
So let's see as we get here.
A lot of
So
counties.
yeah, Tarrant County reporting only early voting, no election night or election day reporting.
Yeah.
Travis County reporting, man, that Travis County early voting results, Tallarico 103,000, almost 104,000. Jasmine Crockett basically 32,000, 31,989.
Yeah.
So huge margin there for Tallarico.
Tallarico knows where his votes are coming from. And he focus on that.
So here's another one that I believe he's expected to do very well on, and that's Williamson County, and that still has no election results being reported there. So yeah, we'll see. The night is still young. There's still lots of results to come in, but for the first time we've seen tonight, Tallarico has crested the 50%.
Huge.
Against Jasmine Crockett. Let's see where some of our other local, like I'm interested to see. What is it, 33? So looking at 33, that looks like it's early voting results.
Allred is
Allred's, Allred's in the lead. Well, I think you expected Allred to prevail. Now that's 33 entirely within Dallas County. We only have early voting results for the Democrats. But unless there's a big surge for Colin Allred today, it looks like him and Julie Johnson right now are slated to go into a runoff.
So and you said that you would expect him to prevail. I actually didn't expect him to prevail. I kind of thought it was going to be Julie Johnson just because of the demographic makeup. That it is like heavy like liberal voters, not necessarily heavy like black Democratic voters. It's heavy liberal Democratic woke voters that are coming out to vote for Julie Johnson, not a kind of blue dog Democrat, however he wants to put himself. I don't. That's kind of why I expected Julie Johnson to kind of walk with that, but that's a very interesting number there, 45%.
I expected Colin Allred to do well because he's got almost universal name recognition for Democrat voters, right?
He does.
Remember, Julie Johnson was not the incumbent in 33. She was in 32, has moved to 33. Now there's some overlap.
Sure.
But Colin Allred's going to have universal name recognition there. He's also going to have a bunch of money that's coming in to support him. So I'm not entirely surprised to see him doing well like that. So let's see if we have any statewide updates on the Republican side. Yeah, it's about the same for the U.S. Senate. With Cornyn at 43%, Paxton at 40%. It seems like that's about where everybody is going to hover there. Still nothing but early voting results in Harris County.
But you go back to Abbott, I thought he was about to. Yeah, he was at 83%. Now he's at 82.5%. It's
a strong night for Doc Chambers at 10% of the vote.
It's quickly deteriorating.
Don Huff finds his having some chipping away happening at his. He's still at 57.84, but he's dropping slightly there. Hancock is catching up somewhat. But again, Dallas County still has not done any election. I don't know if Tarrant County has done much of anything. Neither is Harris County. You would expect Don Huffines to get a big bump from those. More narrowing in the Railroad Commission, but still nothing that's not going to end up in a runoff.
So with the people that do win their primaries tonight, I mean, do you see them kind of jumping into these runoffs and trying to help certain people win to help strengthen their, I guess, coalition of any type? Or do you think that kind of people are just like, okay, cool, I got my spot, I'm going to hold off until the general election and then figure out who my slate is, right? Because it's all about the slate and kind of, at that point, this is who my running mates are. We're all on the ticket. We're all running together. I mean, what do you see there?
It depends. I think, so there's a lot of people that, look, in Texas politics, there are teams. I think the teams have pretty much already endorsed each other. The question becomes with some of these runoffs, like, generally speaking, if you're a down ballot candidate, it doesn't always do you a whole lot of good to endorse in a runoff unless you're fairly confident what the outcome of that election is going to be, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
you endorse the guy that loses. Now it's like, hey man, you want to team up? Like, not really.
right.
Fair enough.
So that's definitely part of it. I don't know if it makes much sense if you're a down ballot candidate to endorse up unless it's like it comes with something. So I don't know. Look, the endorsement that's going to be the $1 million question for everybody in a lot of these races is going to be, where does Trump fall? Does he get involved in some of these races? Does he not? You know, because we have some statewide races that, look, if Trump comes out and he makes his endorsement, it's going to be hard to overcome that for some of these candidates. You know, what would be like a groundbreaker would be if Trump comes out and endorses Cornyn. You know, there was all sorts of rumor that might happen, that, you know, Trump flew to his Corpus Christi event with Cornyn on Air Force One. You know, Cornyn's making the pitch. There were some that were wondering if Trump would announce an endorsement. Obviously, I believe a lot of Senate leadership is advocating on behalf of Cornyn for Trump to get involved.
Right.
But Trump is also, you know, look, Paxton has carried a lot of water for Trump over the years. We filed the election challenge in Pennsylvania. Didn't go anywhere, but you know he at least was carrying water in 2020 on that sort of stuff. So who knows? I don't know if any other endorsements really materially will move things other than something like Trump. You know, like, look, we'll just use it in you know, like the AG's race. Look, if Mays Middleton endorses John Cornyn or Ken Paxton, I don't think that is going to be something that moves the needle. With all due respect to Mays Middleton.
Right.
So you know, you're taking on a big risk of alienating
For almost no reward.
for very little reward, other than maybe, that person will remember me in November. But here's the thing, like with you know, the U.S. Senate race, whoever wins the race is not going to be able to just hand out candy to everybody, because they're going to be in a dogfight. Now, you might be able to share some resources, share block walkers, phone bankers, you know, stuff like that, but, you know, they're going to be in a dogfight for that Senate race.
This was TX32. Herrera against Gonzalez still moves to, it looks like it's going to go to a runoff. I thought that was a very interesting one, TX32.
Yes.
I thought
Wait, 32?
Sorry, 23.
Okay.
That's my
I was like,
dyslexia.
wait, what?
That was a perfect display of what is actually happening in my mind. Looks like that one's going to move to a runoff, which has had a lot of drama around it. I'm very surprised that. I mean, I guess that is kind of the thing with early voting, is that you bank a bunch of votes,
Yeah.
and then like kind of your October surprise happens, and it's like people's vote is already banked, and you're banking votes so early, which I don't disagree with, but it's like, you know, there is something to be said about maybe you're voting a little too early and not getting all the information. Or
Right.
maybe it's just on the other campaign to like, hey, if you have something, you need to drop it a little bit earlier, right? Like waiting till the day of, when we're seeing that, like, hey, there's a lot of votes going in earlier and earlier and earlier now, right?
I mean, yes, the Republicans in the last cycle in 2024 really pushed early voting, banking the vote, all that sort of stuff. So it's not really a surprise that you would see, you know, things like that materialize. Now, I will say, you know, we're getting late into the night.
Yeah.
Dallas County updated its website
Woo!
to put unofficial results report at 11 p.m. So we're coming at, it's currently 10:44 Central Time. So we're coming up on what Dallas County is now promising, or now seems to be at least electronically promising, is going to be unofficial results for tonight. Still no additional results out of Collin County.
It's such a late night. I mean, it's such a late night to like work people, and that's what people don't understand is like when you walk into that voting booth or you go to check in, those people have been there since 5 in the morning, and they are going to be there until, I mean, it's 10:45 and they're still up at Central Count and they're still counting and still processing, and
Right.
there's a bunch of ballots getting spit back out of the counter. And now a Republican and a Democrat have to stand there and argue about it. They have to look at it, and then they have to, contact these people to go get have this person re-vote. I mean, it is, and it's like, yeah, they pay you, but I mean, you're getting like $15 an hour, right? And so, my only thing is this: is like these people are essentially volunteering their time, so be kind, be
Right.
patient with these people. I mean, it's like, dude, these people walk in with the absolute biggest attitude, and it's like, hey, if you don't like the way this is running, you should volunteer. Have you thought about doing that? And it's not like these are, I mean, a lot of these are not shit. When they ask
Right.
you to do this, they're like, can you work all day?
Right.
And if the county judge says, hey, you need to be open until 9, okay, well, that means it's not like just extra 2 hours. No, now you got an extra hour and a half of breakdown, and now if you're the judge, you have to drive it somewhere and you have to stand there for you just extended your day. It's like, it's an all-day event.
So it looks like Denton County is getting pretty close to having full election results. Let's take a look what we have here. So, one race that we have is County Court of Commissioners Precinct 4 in Denton County. So Diane Edmondson, the incumbent, right now in 4th place out of 4. David Wiley, currently at 36.73% in the lead, and then an absolute neck-and-neck race between Gerard Hudspeth and Valerie Roars. Now, Hudspeth, as I know you know, Kyle, mayor of the city of Denton.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running. Right now, it is a really close toss-up between him and Valerie. I mean, we're talking about they are currently separated by 12 votes. Hudspeth with 4,825, Roars with 4,813. See how much of that, if all of that has been reported. There's still some votes coming in certain parts of 39 out of the 67 precincts have fully reported. So still more coming in Denton County on that race. That'll be another one, that Commissioner's Court race. It seems, again, it's going to go to a runoff. It's just a matter of which of those two candidates. And of course, I mean, Diane Edmondson, she's about 1,000 votes back of both of the candidates, 3,835.
Yeah.
It seems unlikely that she bridges that gap to make it into the runoff, but yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch going into the night.
Jasmine Crockett saying the Supreme Court is throwing out ballots cast after 7 p.m. She sued to keep the precincts open until 9. People have been disenfranchised. That's interesting. Because there's been so much back and forth. I doubt that they would actually throw out the ballots, though. So I think that, again, this is just her yapping, but could be. I mean, that's what she's saying to her crowd here. That they're throwing out those votes. So she is on fire. I mean, for her race though, I mean it is very important. I mean, Dallas County is incredibly important for her, obviously, right? So these things that are happening in Dallas County is like fairly high stakes for her.
I'll be interested to see what so it appears from the reporting, there was some, they stayed the order. It's unclear what time they stayed the order. Trying to see if I can find the decision, but they stayed the order here in Dallas County. Let's see, Dallas County. I'm just going to read to you what the Supreme Court's order was. The District Court's order granting emergency petition to extend voting hours issued today in cause whatever it is in his capacity. Is stayed. Voting should occur only as permitted by Texas Elections Code Section 41.032. Votes cast by voters who were not in line at 7 p.m. should be separated. So right now they've been separated. They stayed the order. I don't know what time the order was stayed exactly. I'm seeing some reporting that people that came in at like 8:43 were turned away. So it's being separated. It says a petition for writ of mandamus remains pending before the court. So this is something that the court has not issued a final order. They've stayed. Those votes will be separated. It'll be interesting to see how many actual votes that will affect. Similarly, in Williamson County, there was another order issued there that was also stayed. The district court's order granting a temporary restraining order is stayed. Voting should occur only as permitted. Votes cast by voters who were not in line to vote at 7 p.m. should be separated. So that'll be, and again, petition for writ of mandamus remains pending. So those two things are still to be ultimately decided, but given the fact that the court has stayed the proceedings, tends to show what they're ultimately going to do. So,
Which is what?
they're going to throw those ballots out.
Yeah. So
If they're staying and they're, I mean, so what the court could have done is the court could have allowed the order to remain in place until 9 p.m. and then just separate all of those ballots and just say, look, we're going to rule, we're not going to stay the order, but we do want all of those ballots separated. That way we can ultimately rule on whether or not we agree. And if we decide that, staying open past 7 is not enforceable and we're going to throw that out, then we'll also throw out those ballots.
Well, I'm interested. I'm just trying to think through that. If you're an election judge and you've got people coming in, people are voting, and then you're feeding them into the tabulator, how do you separate those votes?
Well, so generally, if you've got people that are in line, you have somebody go out at 7 o'clock
Yeah.
and hand somebody a piece of paper.
Right.
And be like, you are the last person in line, and you just stay there and monitor that.
Right.
So
And
what?
all those other ballots you just store
So-
in a bag?
I don't know what. So number one,
I don't think I ever got
I don't
training
know.
on
I don't know what the order of the judge was.
that. Right.
So I don't know what the Dallas County judge that kept it open until 9 o'clock said. That judge may have called for them to be held separate. I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, it's a great question on how they actually did that in the polling locations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
So-
But that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, hey, we've had early voting forever. I mean, it feels like for almost 2 weeks, right? And it's like, now you're going to show up at 8:45
Right.
the night of. It's like, hey, dude, wake up. Like, wake up a little bit earlier, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, that's my thing, is it's just like, okay, you're somebody, you went to the wrong voting location, you had to go to some place new to vote. How many of those people were there?
Right.
Does that actually justify keeping the election? Like, because, I mean, to me, you would have to be somebody that went to try to vote at like
7.
6:50
Yep.
and get there and told, no, this is the wrong polling location, you need to go someplace else. But the thing about even that is, well, I mean, all of this has been posted online. There's been public notice. Like Dallas County, as far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
followed all the notice requirements. You could go online and rightfully find out where your precinct was, where your voting location was.
Oh yeah.
And so you would have to show me that you had election workers misinforming voters. Like you would have to show me something affirmatively nefarious happening that would justify keeping it open longer, because otherwise it's just like, yeah, man, you just went to the wrong place and you waited to the last minute and you didn't really verify where you're supposed to go, and
Right.
so you're in the wrong place to vote.
And that, I mean, that kind of goes to the core issue of like the bar for voting continues to get lower and lower and lower. And like ultimately, the Democratic Party is like, hey, if someone is wandering around into a 7-Eleven trying to get a Slurpee, they want to like register them to vote the day after voting and then get a ballot in the mail or something. And it's like, yes, because everyone does. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, everyone deserves to vote, like, with the rules, right? But, like, not everyone should be able to vote anytime, ever, also past the voting hours and in any situation whatsoever. It's, the bar, I mean, if you just look through history, I mean, the bar has just consistently gotten easier and easier and easier to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, you want people to show an ID? That's crazy. It's
Right.
like, yeah, just like you want me to show an ID for absolutely almost every other thing that I do as an adult.
I mean, look, it's like everything. Almost everything, you can have it done well, you can have it done cheap, or you can have it done fast.
Yeah.
And you can only have two of those three, right? And so the same thing comes when it comes to elections. You can get results quickly, you can keep the election secure, like have it run well, or you can do so cheaply. You can only have two of the three. If you want to spend a ton of money, you can have a secure election with quick results. But like, let's say you want to do hand-counted ballots, right? Hand-marked, hand-counted ballots. Well, to get those ballots counted quickly, you need an army of people counting them.
Yes.
And that army of people needs to be incredibly well trained, and that army of well trained people needs to be supervised by people that know what they're doing, and it functions like a machine. That's incredibly expensive to do.
Yes. I mean,
And so the what had been done is, okay, well, we want to kind of not have out of control costs for elections with a growing population. We want quick results. We have the machines tabulated.
right.
We have unofficial results tabulated by the machines that we can give you like that. But if you think that if that's not secure enough, then you run into all of these different issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go to a full extreme, you don't care about it at all. It's like, okay, well, you can just American, was it American Idol? Just text your votes on your phone. That's
Right.
super cheap. That's real quick. That's not secure at all. I mean, there's a continuum there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what the SAVE Act is all about. And there's a lot of fear mongering around that and whatnot. But yeah, the hand count let's do a hand count, hand marked. I mean, I don't unless you again it is about and it even with all the money.
Right.
You are still short on volunteers.
Yes.
And you start running into an issue of like, okay, if it's not an all Republican, all Democratic ballot, and people like switch up their votes, now it gets really crazy on trying to count that because it's not just like separating them into two piles.
Okay, so we talked about the Denton County Commissioner race and how tight that was for second place. We have a swap. So now with 70% of the precincts reporting, Roars is now in second place with 5,083 votes. Hudspeth is in third place with 5,046 votes. So still less than 40 votes separating those two candidates. Like that is a razor thin margin in that race. Let's see if we have any more election night results in Tarrant County. Yeah, still very little election night results in Tarrant County.
Yeah, I think a lot of these will probably get dropped at like right around midnight, I would assume.
Well, we're coming up on 11 o'clock, and that's when Dallas County is supposed to release unofficial results. So we will hold our breath on that. Statewide, on the Democrat side, Tallarico still at 51.51%. Let's see where we are on the Republican side with some of our statewide races.
He's pulling ahead a little bit, feels like.
He is, which is sort of what was expected on some of it. Republican side, things are about the same. Again, on the Senate, Cornyn's sitting at 43%, Paxton at 41%, but we still only have 40% of polling locations reporting, which means we have a lot of election night stuff still to come in. Starting to have a trickle coming in Harris County in District 2 with Dan Crenshaw.
My gosh.
He is closing the gap, but very slightly closing the gap.
57%. I don't know if anyone was thinking that was going to happen.
I don't know. I hadn't, honestly. It's in Harris County. With all due respect to our Harris County friends, it was
Right.
not a race that I was closely following.
Right.
If tomorrow morning everybody wakes up and you've got Dan Crenshaw officially loses, which I'm sure there are people that are calling that race now,
Sure.
that will be a big surprise. Let's see if we have any other updates in.
Yeah, because
Okay, we got another update in Collin County, so let's see where we are there. We now have 37 of 86, so still not even to 50% of the precincts reporting.
good old Maine.
Well, so Collin County is one that's a paper ballot, hand-marked paper ballot county. So Jeff Leach continues to grow his lead. I think we can probably safely stop following that race. George Flynn still comfortably at 58.62%. Candy Noble growing her lead at 52.2%. Let's see how our commissioner's court seat's doing. Let's see, precinct 4 getting tighter still. Let's see. It seems like Woody Huffines has picked up 253 votes total. So those candidates are,
Going to be staying up late.
well, I don't know, we'll see how long Collin County takes to get the rest of them, but that's now a 535 vote margin. That is razor thin. That is quite literally, people at the polling locations today could have changed the outcome of that race. Let's see.
Some of these
Let's
candidates
see.
already
So
have
Dallas
been
County, all right, it's 11:02. Dallas County claimed that we would have 11 o'clock unofficial results report. I'm going to hit refresh and see if we've got it. We do not. So 11:02, Dallas County still has not given us the unofficial results report.
Yeah. Did not hold my breath at all on that one.
I actually did. I gave it a pause.
You thought that was gonna happen,
I
huh?
thought maybe it would happen.
Oh, I'm just very pessimistic. I think they're going to have a massive error, and we're not going to find out till 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Well, we'll see.
We weren't authorized overtime or something, like just something crazy, like just something like that.
No, Collin County will get the results out tonight. It'll just be
No, Dallas.
Dallas. Oh yeah. Look, I don't know. I don't think that they're generally allowed to do that. I think they're supposed to stay until they're all counted tonight, unless
Yeah.
there's something. Obviously on the Democrat side there's something wild going on, but the same is not really happening on the Republican side. So you would expect that they would get results out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cornyn has now dropped slightly below 43% at 42.99%. So that race continues to tighten. I think we could see that. However, on the AG's race, not much change. Mays Middleton still at 40%, Chip Roy at 30%. The big change is Joan Huffman is now in third place. She has taken about a 4,000 vote statewide lead over Aaron Wright. Don Huffines, 57.6%, so maybe a little bit of a narrowing there, but still comfortable. Sheets and Miller still 42 or 52.77 to 47.23. Tightening more on the Railroad Commission, where Jim Wright is catching up with Beau French, but again, nothing that is going to get to 50% unless some sort of miracle happens today. Another race that we haven't talked about that is going to go into the runoff is the Court of Criminal Appeals in place 3. So Allison Fox, Thomas Smith, sort of popularly considered to be the two front runners, are doing exactly that. Allison Fox right now 31.88, Thomas Smith at 30.59. I feel like
a lot of good people, or a lot of people making some very bold statements about Wesley Hunt.
We now have an unofficial report here from Dallas County. So we're going to do it live. Let's take a look at what we got. So this appears to be I don't have anything in here that tells me how many votes were, how many precincts. This is upload 1. I don't know how many precincts this is. It's only 5,772 votes cast on election day on the Republican side.
It's got to be way more than that.
You would think it would be way more than that.
My lord, that's like nothing.
Yeah. J.C. Yarborough dropping below 50% in Dallas County. 49.83% with the updated totals.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Ryan Binkley is not closing the gap, but keep Jace is under 50% here in Dallas County. Governor Abbott still holding on to 85% of the vote. I think he might be able to pull it out. Mays Middleton, Chip Roy still running 1 and 2. Joan Huffman 3. Aaron Wright's 4 here in Dallas County. Don Huffine still 62% here. But let's look at some. I guess we're really looking at 108. 108 is the $1 million question right now to see what's happened on election day. Morgan Meyer expanding his lead so far. Early day reporting 392 election day votes to 213. If it hasn't already been called, that's. I don't know how much we're going to have there to make up the gap. So, I guess I don't know if that's the last result we're going to get for Dallas County. The Democrats haven't released theirs, but that's at least for the Dallas County side of things. That's all that we're seeing. I don't know if that's it for the night or not.
And that's the problem is we could sit here for an hour and a half. You just have no information coming out. And there have been times where they do close. No, we're going home. We're coming back. We saw it in 2020. Where they'd close or be water pipe bust or something like that. But outside all the conspiracy theories, there is a time where they'll be like, hey, look, we didn't get through all of it because of the new hand counting or, enough systems broke or whatever. It's just really hard to tell. But at this point, you can kind of see, there's a few races that are, is it going to go to runoff 50% or not? But most of these things now are, the die has been cast. You're going to have to really come out on top on same day voting to sway these things.
Yeah, that's true. This is where it's frustrating with the Dallas County report. I'm just going to say is Tarrant County tells me how many precincts have voted.
Right.
So, I can say, oh, this is the Tarrant County report. It's got X amount reporting. This for Dallas County just gives me a number and says it is upload 1. I have no way of telling how many that means, and I guess because there wasn't the same Yeah. I mean, in the past, Dallas County used an electronic, kind of more like what Tarrant County has, where there
Right.
is an election night reporting website that's electronically updated.
Right.
Denton County has it, Tarrant County has it, where you can see, okay, like I'm looking right now, let's look at Harris County. There tells me that there is 6 of 275 voting centers reporting. So I can know how much to credit some of this stuff. Tarrant County is nice enough to have the election night reporting system to where, you can see how many of the voting centers have fully or partially reported or not reported at all. So kind of frustrating being in Dallas, trying to count that sort of stuff and not having any idea if this upload is everybody or just some people.
Yeah, there's a lot of candidates, a lot of incumbents that are going to be staying up all night. There are some that are already in their PJs. They're very happy with their performance. It is amazing how much money's been spent on this.
Right.
You have to wonder on some of these races that it's like, okay, how are you spending so much money on a public office? Bit concerning.
Well, the money's there, right? I mean, you talked about out-of-state PACs. There's always going to be a gigantic amount of money that want to. I mean, look, if you're a business owner, let's say you are an industry provider. You're an industry,
Right.
right? I mean, the way that the Texas House governs, the way that the Senate governs, the way that Congress governs, is going to dramatically impact your livelihood.
Yep.
People always talking about is like, oh, you're going to make more or less money. Well, I mean, for people, that's their livelihood. So it's like, I'm a small business owner. If there's an increase in franchise taxes in Texas, or there's a change to personal property taxes in Texas, or something like that, heaven forbid there's a state income tax that we get hit with. Like, that really affects my business.
Mm-hmm.
That really affects my livelihood, my ability to take care of my family. I'm absolutely going to be ponying up the dough, if it will, as it would, to make sure that
All of a sudden, it is an investment.
is an investment, right?
Yeah.
It's not just, I think everybody takes politics seriously, but I mean, if you're at a certain income level, like, that is the
biggest bang for your buck.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So let's check in Collin County to see if we have report version 5. We don't. We still have report version 4. All right. Well, it's 11:12. We're getting late into the evening.
It's late.
I think a lot of the results that we have. I mean, look, there's still some races that are. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we're between look for the Senate race. It seems like that's set. Right, it's going to be Cornyn, it's going to be Paxton in some order there.
Yeah.
Which one of them comes out ahead at the end of the night, who knows? But it's going to be those two in a runoff headed to May. AG's race headed to a runoff. It's likely going to be Mays Middleton and Chip Roy, unless something wild happens for Election Day for Joan Huffman or Aaron Reitz. So that's where we're going to go there. The question is, again, does Mays hold on to the lead that he has, and how much is the lead, right? Then we start looking at things like CD32. Is Jace able to hold on to, 50% plus one and win it on election night, or does he have to go into a runoff?
Mm-hmm.
We looked at the Denton County Commissioner's race, and we know that's going to go into a runoff. Is it, who is second place? It's like less than 50 votes right now.
Right.
And then we look at, Collin County. Does Candy Noble hold on? Looks like she probably will. She's growing her lead tonight. And then that commissioner's race between Shelby Williams and Woody Huffines. Woody Huffines is catching up tonight. Does he have enough movement on election day to be able to close that gap? Shelby Williams had about 1,000 vote lead. It's now down to, less than 600. So lots of intrigue still.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you've got on the Democrat side Tallarico and Crockett. Can Tallarico win it outright? Does that go to a runoff?
Mm-hmm.
Colin Allred and Julie Johnson. Like, there's still a lot of fun to be found out. I just don't know if I'm willing to stream it until midnight to do that.
No, but I will say this. If there's not a Democratic runoff, I say that we start a PAC to give Jasmine Crockett some startup money to start kind of like a Democratic info wars, and she becomes like the next Alex Jones of the left. Talks about how the election was stolen from her.
You don't need to set up InfoWars. She just go works at NBC Now.
Okay, yeah, true.
I mean, look, Jasmine Crockett loses. She's gonna be an influencer. She is immediately going to be something. She's gonna be a commentator. She's gonna have her own podcast. That'll all be set up for her.
She can't be quiet. Or she's gonna get one of those multi-million-dollar contracts on one, like you said, like on one of the, legacy media outlets, and you always wonder, like, how do these people pay that much, because they don't have any viewership, and it's kind of almost like donations, like Barry Weiss getting millions of dollars to run a defunct media outlet, and that is it. So yeah, she's lining up herself. She's lining herself up for something good. I just hope maybe she just breaks every dish on the way out. That would be pretty fun to watch. So, but it looks like she's falling more and more behind every poll or every count that I see, and Tallarico's more and more above 50%. So
I mean, look, here's the thing.
it's unfortunate, honestly.
Jasmine. I mean, look, the reporting right now that we're seeing is that Jasmine Crockett is continuing to lose more and more. It's still too early to call, at least at whenever this reporting was done.
Yeah.
But this was 2 hours ago. It may be called now, but stormed out of her event, very upset. I won't be back tonight. This is what Republicans do. Saying that the Republicans rigged the elections, whatever. That's going to be your thing. Guess what? It's just the Stacey Abrams playbook.
Yeah.
She's just going to do what Stacey Abrams did. Yeah. She's going to go off and she's going to be a media darling for the Democrats, which, again, it's still amazing to me that she's making this complaint about her own primary. She's not like she's talking about the general. She's complaining about her own primary. So she'll follow the Stacey Abrams playbook. She'll probably have a book. She'll be a commentator on MS Now or CNN or something like that. She'll have her podcast. And then in 2020, what is it? 2020 or 2030. Gosh, we're getting old. 2030, she'll just run for governor or something.
Yeah, and that'll be a massive flop.
It's being reported that at Paxton's watch party, which I think is here in Dallas, they are currently playing Beyonce, This Ain't Texas.
Okay. All right. The better story was someone showed up with like guns and a bunch of magazines.
I wouldn't say that's a better story.
Got
It's
arrested.
a more notable story.
No, okay, yeah, more notable, more interesting for sure.
Yeah. It's being reported that Governor Abbott's called Nate Sheets to congratulate him on the ag commissioner win, so it looks like we may have some movement there.
Yep. Don Huffines, obviously.
Yeah, I think Don Huffines is being declared the winner in that race. No surprise there.
Yeah, people taking victory laps. I mean, yeah, tomorrow by noon, a lot of this will be ironed out. But man, I'm not looking forward to a long, extended primary runoff. It's just so tiring, honestly. It's just like, okay, can we get back to?
Yeah. So for what it's worth, I just want to real quick before we head out.
Sure.
Take a look. The Texas Tribune, they've got, different primary results, different races that they're calling. So we can kind of take a look at that. I mean, right now the reporting they have, which is more up to date than what the Secretary of State has, is James Tallarico, 52.5% to 46.2% for Ms. Crockett. On the Republican side, John Cornyn's still in first place, Paxton in second. You know, it's them. They're going for a runoff. Let's see.
Yep.
See if there's anything that we haven't. Yeah, they're calling it for Don Huffines. I don't think much of a surprise there. Now I will say that Texas Tribune has not called it for Nate Sheets yet, but I mean, there are others that are making that call. Not calling, you know, what is it, CD2, wherever, yeah, Toth and Crenshaw, but it's not looking good there.
Yeah, Crenshaw better get on them trades.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that is that, you know, look, once you become a lame duck, you know, you got some time to make some trades.
Right.
You know, at that point, who cares? You know, make the money you can before you're out. I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but
Yeah.
you know, if you're a cynic on that front.
Yeah. Or you know, some people could just, you know, could be spiteful and just, you know, kind of let all the little secrets out on their way out.
Yeah. So right now, 66% of the vote in District 23 or 32.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it does look like Tony Gonzalez and Brandon Herrera are on for runoff.
My
But the
gosh.
surprising thing there is that Gonzalez is in the lead. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens when that goes into the runoff.
I mean,
Here's a couple of fun races. U.S. House District 26, which is here in North Texas, could not be a different race. On the Republican side, Brandon Gill, the incumbent, receives 91.2% of the vote. I think Kim Jong-un would be proud of those results. On the Democrat side, it's literally a 50-50 split right now. Not quite a 50-50. Stephen Shook with 22,992 and Ernest Lannenberger with 22,970. Like, you have a 22 vote difference
Dang.
with, you know, 46,000 nearly votes cast. That's wild in 26. Again, District 30, like we talked about, still less than half of the votes coming in because we have so many in Dallas to still come in. Everett Jackson, Sheldon Daniels. Looks like that could be it, but, you know, Gregorio Hesse, or Hayes, or however you say his name, is only a few hundred votes back from Sheldon Daniels, so that could still move. Valentina Gomez has bounded into second place with 10% of the vote in District 31. Get ready for her rocking of that with purported stuff. But 67% of the vote in on 32. Jace Yarborough now below 50%, 49.5. Ryan Binkley, you know, 21.7% of the vote. So we still have more coming in there.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, Julie Johnson. She's about to not be. Interesting. Okay.
60% of the vote in Democrat District 33, and all red, 45.5% of the vote. Julie Johnson, 34% of the vote.
Yeah.
So that could go to a runoff between those two.
Yeah. And I guarantee you'll see Talarico and him campaigning together so he can make up for his racist comments about him. Like, that's for sure. And then that'll squash the whole, like, let's help out Crockett thing.
So interesting, House District 35, John Lujan, former Texas House rep, at 32%, Carlos de la Cruz at 27.3%. Those two will go into a runoff. You know, John Lujan, you know, Carlos de la Cruz was ahead in the polls. You know, John Lujan looks like he caught up there towards the end, but that'll be another fight between those two. Let's see.
Yep, no big. Yeah, I would be surprised if they updated it again. Port 4. 11:20.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So, all right. Well, Kyle, do you have any closing thoughts?
My closing thought is there's a lot of losers tonight on Kalshi, and the betting and everything. I mean, everything was so certain that the spreads were like 82% Paxton was going to walk away with it tonight, and so that's just very interesting. I also, especially in some of the counties that I've been following, there were these kind of tickets of people that are running together,
Yeah.
and some of them are neck and neck with their opponent, whether they're incumbent or not, and then some of them have huge spreads between. So it's just a very, kind of dynamic election where it seems like the primary voter really did come out and think about what they were voting on. Because it doesn't really follow any trend. Maybe afterwards we can analyze it and see kind of what trend this did follow, but it's very interesting to see these things break the way they're breaking.
I would be very surprised. I'm not surprised. I'd be very interested to see some of these slates that have gone out. Like, how did those candidates, like the link letter, how did candidates on the link letter phase, or how did they fare tonight? Some of these, like, newly set up PACs that were handing out the slates, like you were talking about, how well did all of those candidates do? Because some of it's going to be stuff like, I'm going to use Collin County because I think Collin County had the most races that here, not the most races, but it had some like primary challenger races, and so you would see fairly consistently like Carissa Richardson and Jeff Forrester and Matt Thorson, George Flint, all be on the same slate. These are the people that were endorsed on this slate. Here's the people that you should support.
Right.
Chris Hill. Some of it's easy. Like, we all knew Chris Hill was going to easily win. You expected that Jeff Leach was going to soundly handle his opponent. Carissa, that was a tougher race. Candy Noble is obviously a tough race, so Jeff Forrester got a boost there. But, so those slates, there were some safe candidates on it. There were some candidates that were definitely getting maybe lifted a little bit by their... look, I can't remember what the numbers are, but I think Matt Thorson just received like a crazy amount of money down the stretch from some of these out-of-state PACs funding local PACs.
Right.
And again, like, you're seeing like millions of dollars just getting burnt. Not that he received millions of dollars, but just across the board on that stuff. Like millions and millions of dollars being spent on it. But all right, well, for those of you that stuck up around the whole time, thank you for staying with us. I hope that we were able to add some context to the night. Still results coming in. Check tomorrow morning, check the papers, check the internet, whatever you want to do to find out who won some of these races. But on behalf of Kyle, on behalf of myself, our team at A Better Texas, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.